Hey there, and welcome back to the Central Tower build. I'm just getting stuck into the next section. Before I can start assembling it though, we've got the 3 ground floor pieces here. And these need their details adding and the floor surfaces painted. I'm not so worried about the bottom surfaces because they can be left white, because ceilings are normally white. In addition to this, I have all of the wall pieces cut out now. All of them have been etched, beveled, so they're all ready for the actual assembly process. It was pretty epic, including the etching and everything. I think this was like a 10, maybe 11-hour job. But it's done now, and it looks pretty fantastic. In fact, I think this building overall certainly is the best looking one I've made. Partly scale helps, partly because I've actually done all the details properly. I think I've done all the doors properly. I've done all of the etching on the exteriors, like the frames on all the windows here. They've all got their edgings on. The little details around the bottom edges. The lines joining the windows, the higher up windows. It did bodge up, so we have Africa here. And then I cut a corner piece out because I mirrored over and then I just ignored one measurement. Stupid me. But it means, again, there's a little bit of variety on either side of the building, I suppose. It's not absolutely identical. And it includes the windows for the toilet. So next up I'm going to attach all of the additional floor details to the it's the first and second floors really, because it's the first floor, second floor, roof and ground floor. Except if you're in America, I think first floor is what we call ground floor in the UK. So it would be first, second and third floor under the roof for you guys. But oh well, it's all good. So I'll get the details attached, or I'll show you the details and what I'm attaching first. Here then I've put together the additional details for the first floor, second floor, sorry, third floor for US. I'm just putting a divider into the room because I don't want visibility clear through the room, or I at least want to reduce it. Originally I'd intended to put in dividers which actually prevented visibility from any side of the building through, but in terms of reaching I decided against that in the final build here. So I've just built this out of offcuts. These are offcuts from the build, and I've marked on the line where I want it to go, so that will just get glued in place there. I'm not worried about gluing it onto the floor above, because there's going to be so much structural integrity given by the assembly process that I don't think that will really have much of an effect. And then for the mezzanine floor, first floor, I've just built walls, and I'm building these out of plasticard or styrofoam if you're in the US. And that is because it's very thin. I think this is like 1.5 or 2 mil deep styrofoam. And I will glue it on the inside edges, so it will be going stuck to the surfaces. I have beveled all of the edges already, and so the next step is just to assemble these bits and pieces. And then I will be ready to paint the floors for this part of the build. There's the wall for the mezzanine then, so now we can have people fighting between floors. And also there is just that piece glued into place now. So the next step is going to be to paint the floors and the exteriors of the walls. Just before taking them out to paint then, I've just had to mask off the floor line for the rooftop so that I don't spray down over any gluing points. So I'll probably spray these sides first, weirdly enough, just because I'm less likely to forget and make errors later that way. Yeah, so I'm going to go get these painted, get the floors painted. Here you go then, I've got all the floors primed up here. Next step for the floors is painting, because I'm going to paint them before fitting everything together because it'll be easier. But just worth noting is, I don't know if you can see that, but it was better before. There's no paint on the edges. That's the point I'm trying to make. Paint everywhere else, but not on the edges. Not on the bottom. Not fussed about the bottoms. The bottoms can be like white ceilings, so really just don't care about that at all. But the main part is, especially on this floor, the floor needs to attach to the top of the ground floor. Oh no. Yeah, words are eluding me right now, sorry. Same with these, sides haven't been, bottom hasn't been. Sides haven't been, bottom hasn't been. These two, the bottom isn't a thing because the bottom's not attached or anything, but it keeps an easy, nice white ceiling, which saves faff on later. So yeah, I'll get these painted next. Here you go, first tier of painting done. We've got the mahogany floors. I was going to use mahogany brown, but I decided to use the opaque sienna, which is very slightly redder than the mahogany brown actual paint. It was Vallejo Game Opaque, sorry, rather than the model colour mahogany. It gives you opacity, also run a little bit of water in it, and it helps to just run it into the cracks and make life a little bit easier on that front. Also, again, I've run the blue out onto the roof, as I said I would. So now I'm just going to apply ink, so I'm going to take the previously mixed blue, apply it to that, and then I'm going to wash these down to a probably pretty dark brown by applying a brown ink to them. So we'll get that done, and I'm back with you momentarily. Here you go then, all inked up, and that's darkened up all the mahogany and also just made the planking distinct and brought out a little bit of the grain, although not much. I kind of hope that maybe I'll get a bit more. And on the roof, I did just use the same ink mix as I used for the stairwells, which I think is about 1 part ink to 20 parts water, or 1 part ink, 10 parts water, something like that. And then just using a little bit of the brown ink, a tiny bit, I just dabbed that round the edges and in the middle, just to give that kind of slightly weathered, worn look, mostly because this is meant to be the roof, so unlike the interior stairwell, which I'm going to assume is getting cleaned, this will have a bit more weather damage and I want that to be visible in the roof. So the only other thing left to do with these then is this wall and the sort of wall on this, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the light blue just to bring the light blue into the room so that it sort of binds the building together, the light blue floors, the light blue walls. The rest of the walls will in fact be white because they're going to be just left plain because they're going to be the interior surface of the other pieces, and I'm not going to worry about painting them because of gluing reasons. So yeah, I'm just going to get these painted and I'll be back in a minute. Here is the now painted exterior walls, and as you can see now, I've flipped them over, I've left the interior sides completely unpainted. And this is the time, if you want to paint any additional details, which I do, which is all the lintels for all of the window frames, which are, if I just come up close, just the edges where I've etched around the edge of the window. I'm just going to block all that in. And I'm going to use the light blue, even though it's kind of pano, just because this is a municipal building and it will stick with the same colour scheme all the way through. The other thing worth noting is, look, all of the masked areas, so all of the panels where stuff's going to get glued, no paint on any of it. Also the line where the paint comes down to, that is the point where the top edge of the roof will align. So yeah, next in I'm just going to paint in the lintels on all of these. Catch you in a second. Here you go then, all of the pieces from this build, or the next phase of this build, are all done, ready to go. So you can get a closer look. There's all the lintels done, and I think it just helps just to make sense of it as a building. A few little details, exterior details, really do help. The etching combined with that, I think, makes it look right. Taking about 3 coats on these panels, these interior panels, for the The walls, that's the word, yeah, got there in the end. Around the balcony of the mezzanine there, and for the interior wall on that floor. So there we go, next time I will be assembling the beast. So, as ever, I hope this has been of some use to you and that you are building amazing things. Thank you for watching, have a good one and take care. Bye bye.